Up 2, 3. Okay. Let me unmute.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hi, Kay. Oh, okay.
Hello.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Great. How are you?
Look at you
Very
guys
well.
in your adorable Siena garb. You're so cool.
Right.
I love it. It was nice to have something to look forward to today. I'm always curious about what my kid does and who my kid is with. So I feel like it's a nice opportunity for me to meet some folks.
Yep,
Absolutely.
very much.
Do you guys have freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, multiple? A
We have
collection?
multiple.
Multiple? Oh,
And we
you're
have 5
offenders.
children, and the oldest is a graduate, and there are 2 currently at Siena, 1 senior, 1 sophomore, and 1 incoming freshman in the fall.
Wow.
Drinking the
That's awesome.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. I love it. Don't worry, I won't say that to anyone else. I'm just saying that to you.
Yep.
That's wonderful. And
Right.
how about you guys?
We have a sophomore at Siena right now.
Go ahead.
Man or woman? Young man, young woman?
Christian Grey, like the books.
A young man.
Ah, that must have been tricky.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was named that before the books
It
came
was
out.
before
So.
then.
I have a freshman at Siena. I also do have 2 other children, though. They're triplets. So I
Wow.
at Siena, and then the other 2 opted. They all spread apart. So one's at Holy Cross and one is at St. Michael's in Burlington. So a little
Right.
bit across, but all very Catholic,
Yes.
liberal arts, very similar in their choices.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
Similar size schools.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, very similar, but yet not together.
Right. Right.
But you have to find what's a match, right?
Yep, yep.
Right.
I often think if I had the opportunity to do it all over again, would Siena be on my list? I'm sure if you have a number of children going there, that's probably occurred to you guys too.
Right. Right. And I'm a Siena graduate myself.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah.
Super cool.
Right. Well, I know we are supposed to be the moderators, and I don't know, how many other people are joining. And we are the all-star panel for this evening's event to help answer questions, provide guidance. I think for those people who may not have made a decision yet with their students, maybe some have, and they will be coming to Siena but still have questions. And so we can certainly go around the room and talk about different things. I see some of the
intros.
Yes. We can introduce ourselves. So I'm Teresa Cahill, Bill Cahill.
Yep.
We're from Connecticut. And I am a Siena graduate, originally from the Albany area. And we have 5 children, for those who maybe weren't on right at the very beginning, 5 children. We have 1 Siena graduated in 2018. We have a current senior graduating in a few weeks from Siena. And we have a sophomore at Siena, and our high school senior will be going to Siena next year. And we have a high school freshman.
Wow, that's so cool.
So
They keep us on our toes.
I was gonna say, that's amazing. What an achievement.
right. So if you can each introduce yourselves and a little bit as well.
Go ahead, ladies.
Not me, you go first.
So my name is Melissa Gooley. I live in Champlain, New York with my husband, and we have a Carter Gooley, who is a freshman at Siena studying in sports communication. And he's been, loves it there, feels like it's a great match for him, and has gotten very involved with the Franciscans and in the youth ministry, as well as already has a work study, like doing what he loves to do, like video the games or taking score, or got right into the sports communication group there and took him under his wing. So he's doing all that and just absolutely loving it. I don't think he wants to come home in May.
That's what happens.
That's a good sign.
Right. Wallace and Angelina Gray. Our son Christian is a sophomore actuarial science major. He is the manager of the lacrosse team. He played lacrosse in high school, decided he didn't want to play in college, but still wanted to be involved. He's also part of the admissions team, giving tours for incoming students. And he never wants to come home.
He loves it there.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Right. That's real comforting.
Yes.
I'm Jen O'Connor. My son Aiden is a sophomore. He would probably know Christian because he's working. He was a freshman Pathfinder. Now he's running the marketing committee for the ambassadors or whatever he's doing. He's also he plays rugby. We thought he wasn't going to go to Siena because he couldn't run. He was a sprinter, and Siena has a distance team. And he ended up playing rugby, which has been really fun for him. And he'll be a CA next year.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Very
great.
good.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I hadn't heard of Siena before. A friend's daughter went there. So
Really?
Okay.
yeah. And I went to a Franciscan high school, but
Okay.
it was not on my radar screen. But sometimes that happens, you know.
Right. So how about, does anybody have any tips for first-time parents of a college student? I know it can be a little nerve-wracking, unsettling, very intimidating, yet very exciting. For first-time parents, going into sending somebody off to college. I remember with our oldest son, when he went to Siena, he was excited about it, but he was definitely a little nervous about it too. He didn't know his roommate.
Yeah, that's tough.
Communicated a little bit on the telephone with him, but and so, we were a little nervous about that. And, I think just being the first one, we were hoping that he'd be able to handle anything, that came his way. And I think we were really pleasantly surprised knowing that Siena was like a second family there. And they definitely
Yes.
have an umbrella over the students where, they take care of them.
I wasn't prepared for that. I really wasn't. I mean, I quite honestly, like I said, Siena was not on my radar screen. And it sort of came up randomly. And I had, I go into everything sort of open-minded. And I was open-minded to Aiden being successful, but Aiden had a lot of challenges in high school. He was not a performer. He struggled. He didn't enjoy high school. And at one point he even said, I don't really know if I should go to college. And I just wanted my child to fulfill their potential.
Right.
And, it's this strange feeling you get as a parent. My husband and I met at NYU. And it was like, that's not going to work for him. This is, he needs a more cultivating environment. And we checked out Siena on a lark because a friend said to go. And it was like, it was this dull realization that my apprehension and anxiety turned into excitement because it felt like a match. It felt like this is a community where he is going to be acknowledged as an individual.
Right.
And I had this dull realization, like he might actually thrive here. Like, wow, this is a kid. And he has, he made the dean's list for the first time since 6th grade. It was like, oh my God. But he's happy.
Great.
And when a child is happy and they're in a cultivating environment, and I feel like Siena educates the individual. And that was like eye-opening to me. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I would say for a parent to be open-minded to the possibility of success when they find an environment that's a match for them, we can't burden them with our anxieties or our worries. We have
Right.
to allow them to be excited and make a connection and find their own success. And I think Siena really educates the whole person in that way.
Yes.
Yeah, and I found that they were a really big support with, all of my children. I don't know if you weren't on before, I have triplets. So all of them were going to college at the same time. I was a nervous wreck. It was awful.
Yes.
With 3.
The FAFSA for all of them and the paperwork and trying to hound them to do the scholarships and everything. Like I was pulling my hair out.
Right.
Once they finally made that decision, and Carter made this decision, and Carter was my one that I was really nervous about because he was always kind of overshadowed. Like, how is he going to do?
Wow.
And
Okay.
they took him under, and they did it with him. Like he would ask me questions, but they did it with him, like, and guided him through this to help him make his schedule, to have him make his decisions, and really empowered him. And I mean, now he calls me all the time. Mom, I got this on this test, and I did this on this test, and I let but he's so empowered to just take it on. And I was just so used to always doing everything for them. It was so easy to just get them off to Siena, So it was really helpful how much, like, yes, you pay the bill, but they take care of everything else, It was really helpful. They were great to work with. And move-in day was amazing, even during a pandemic. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I was like, you're kidding me, right? We dropped Carter off first, actually, and they they took they were all masked and safe, but they took everything, they helped with everything. I was like, oh my God, I thought I needed to train to do this. Like I had to get into shape.
Wow.
But
Right.
So you were surprised.
yeah, I was. Wow, this is way easier than expected. Though we overpacked. I think that's one thing we learned.
Oh,
Too much stuff.
That's everyone their freshman year.
Oh my God.
Right.
Not do that again next year.
You want to be
Siena
prepared for
experience-
anything and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Siena experience was wonderful. My son got accepted to a lot of schools. It came down between the University of Richmond and Siena, and it was the final factor was we went up for an interview with Dr. O'Neill, who's the head of the actuarial science department. It was supposed to be a meet and greet, 5-10 minute meeting.
Mhm.
An hour and a half later, when he came out,
Oh my goodness.
Dr. O'Neill walked over to admissions and talked to Katie, head of admissions, is like, listen, you got to get this kid here. And
Isn't that great?
That sounds like
phenomenal.
Siena, right? I mean,
Right,
it's so strange. I mean, as how do you explain this to another parent who hasn't experienced it? That's the thing for me. I had all these other friends who had kids starting school, and there was all these issues, and I was like, just pick up the phone. Oh, you mean you can talk? I was like, just pick up the phone, walk into an office, ask a question. I think it's because it's small, maybe, or that it's the Franciscan tradition, or it's just the community that's cultivated. And I remember I did the smile test on campuses because we visited a lot of campuses. Yeah. And I would like randomly smile. Who's this crazy lady? I would like smile at people. And I did. I would just walk around campuses like,
oh.
And at Siena, all these kids, I mean, they're adults, but they're kids. Yeah. They smile back at this crazy lady. And they kept holding the door for me. I was like,
exactly.
I'm like 10 places away and you're holding the door.
That's great.
It was, and that's why Aiden was so comfortable there. He felt like, well, if I don't know anybody, at least people are friendly. And that sounds so kind of cheesy to say, oh, it's friendly, but it is.
True.
And that, you got to own that. You've got to own nice means a lot.
And safe. I feel very comfortable with him being there. It seems very safe.
Yes.
The friends that he's made, I mean, you hear horror stories about college. And I mean, the friends that he's made, I mean, they're great kids. I would have them come to my home. I would have Carter go to their home. Like, you just feel very comfortable. Good families and times, like you said. And, he goes out for a jog at night on campus, and it he's not nervous or scared, and, feels really comfortable.
Well, there is I know I've learned it's called pub safety. I was like,
and the blue light.
Pub safety? It's like public safety, but it has a real presence. And they seem to make They seem to make themselves accessible and available and omnipresent, which I do like. Because there can be issues,
Right, sure.
anywhere, but if the public safety has a presence, I think it's less likely.
Mm-hmm. So I see a question came up from someone asking how to pick a roommate. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that. I think for each of our kids, they didn't pick a roommate. Time they were assigned a roommate from Siena, and they filled out, the questionnaire that Siena provides, and they were assigned a roommate. And for all of them, it worked out well.
Yeah.
Our daughter, she's now a sophomore. She has continued to live with, her freshman roommate, and they get along great, and they have a lot of the same friends, and they have a lot of different friends, and that's been a great experience. Our second son, when he went to Siena as a freshman, Siena had a little bit of an overcrowding situation, and he was a forced triple. So he was it was meant for 2 people, and there were 3 guys living in it. And, Bill and I were really kind of concerned about that, wondering like, how is that going to work? And the whole wing in that dorm was all forced triples. So they had 50% more guys than normal.
Wow.
But in the end, it ended up being a great experience for him. He is still very, very close friends with his other kids that lived on that wing, his roommates from that year. So, although it may seem different at first, it just works out. And so I have confidence in Siena with the assignment of roommates too. But I can't add anything about picking a roommate.
Well, I think the freshman orientation also, I think you sort of cast it to the winds of chance and, cross your fingers, and you don't have to meet your next best friend. You just have to meet somebody that you can live with. And
Yes.
I think that I would encourage people to be honest on the questionnaire, and I would encourage people to respond early, because that does help. But Aiden had an experience where he's ended up becoming very friendly with his roommate. Aiden's going to be a CA next year, so he'll live with someone else. But I think given the opportunity, they would continue. And I think it's been really important for them to connect during freshman orientation to various groups of people and friends. And if they each have different groups of friends, that's okay. They just, at the end of the day, they have to be able to be respectful. And I think Siena does demand respect.
Yes.
And I'm sure that, there are incidences. How can there not be? But it's a perfectly imperfect process. But again, being honest and communicative, and not setting wherever you go to school, not setting a negative precedent, but again, going in open-minded. I think that when you have a broader community that's healthy, that wants the student to thrive, that will happen. And if there is a real problem, they're going to address it.
Yes.
Carter went in, actually all of the kids now with social media, all of mine went in with getting onto one of the social media sites, not Facebook, because that's for us, right? That's our age group, but like Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it is. And got to be friends with a ton of Siena students, and started that as soon as he accepted. The class of 2024 got into this group thing, and they all just started talking. And Carter did find his roommate that way, and it has been an amazing.
Oh, really? Cool.
So, and that's worked out. And they're going next year. They're hoping to get a doubles or something, and have be 4 of them. But definitely has met a lifelong friend from that, but there's a lot of ways to get into these social media groups, to start communicating early. There's so many ways now that we can do that besides just the old fashioned telephone, or even they really didn't have freshman orientation last year because of COVID, when they first moved in, they had stuff, but nothing that you went down for like a weekend before. Right. So that social media has helped, and it made Carter very comfortable knowing that he knew a little bit about his roommate going in. But so that worked too.
Well, our son did the same thing. He was on social media, but he talked when he had his roommate assignment. He talked with his roommate several times before they met. They each discussed who was going to bring the refrigerator, who was going to bring a TV, what was going to go on, and his roommate, he lucked up. They're like best friends.
Oh,
They really
that's
are.
awesome.
They hung out all summer, and
That
they had a
happens,
quad,
right?
so there were two others attached to the room, and all four are thick as thieves. They really are.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's
Yep.
great.
Go to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an incoming question from Nina. What things should I send with her besides the basics? Clothes, foods, bedding, hygiene items, laptop, etc.
That's about it.
Any takers?
Less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. More guests at a wedding don't make it a better marriage.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you look. That's the kind of thing where I think also the more you tell a child they need, the more potentially nervous they can become.
Mhm.
I just kept saying Amazon Prime, if you need something, just order it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
We don't want to encumber them with our worries that it be a perfect room or that it look adorable or that it be
Right.
decorated for, Pottery Barn teen. It's like, no.
Right.
Just they only need to go with a good positive attitude, a couple of
Right.
mementos from home.
Right.
My second child is getting ready to go off to university in Europe in the fall. She's going to go with 2 suitcases.
Right. And that's it.
And I said, you'll be fine. If you need something, you can buy it. You can get it. So I think that the less is more. Let them accumulate things while they get there. When I visited my son's room the first time, I loved the fact that he had pictures from freshman orientation hung up and Post-its that everybody had signed and left quotes on the wall. And that meant more to him than anything I could have, sent with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Right. I think sometimes the closets are a little challenging to work with. And I know my daughter, felt it was important to have some organizational things, especially for the closet, but fancy, simple bins.
And like long extension cords, I think are key because you never know where the outlets are going to be. And of course they have a million and one things to charge. So I found that the longer extension cords were good. And then sometimes you can even buy like the extension cords that have like the USB ports. So they're extra long. So depending on where the bed is in the room and the outlets are, that was helpful. And all 3 of mine really liked the really nice mattress pad. Like the mattresses are, not great. So they liked a thick mattress pad. That's one thing that they did want to bring. But other than that, exactly.
A 5x7
and
rug.
a comfy bed.
A 5x7 rug on Amazon is, $40 if you can swing that or split it. That's a nice thing too. But
that is a nice thing, right?
Yeah, it just makes it a little cozier than the tile floor. But that would be my only extra.
Yeah.
Right.
Teach them how to use Tide Pods before they go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Amazon is good. Amazon's really good. Gets delivered right to the college.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and they borrow from each other if they don't.
Right.
If they need something.
Right.
So and so had a
Walmart
tie
not
for
far down the road.
Yeah, somebody on the hall had a tie that he needed for something. It's like whatever, you figure it out.
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I don't think Carter ever wore his winter coat. He just is always wearing hoodies.
Yes.
They don't pack boots or they just wear their regular shoes. That's just teenagers, right?
Yeah, I know.
Don't overpack. Gym clothes if they like to do that, and enough so they don't have to wash constantly. But
right.
those 3 totes, those 3 drawers fit really nice underneath the bed. The plastic ones.
Yep.
That's true, right? Right, and sometimes
Another
the beds
really
are
good thing that they
adjustable
can
too.
get
Mm-hmm.
is the power strip, because in there they really can't use a lot of extension cords. There's a power strip that has a 10-foot cord on it, which
Yes.
works wonderfully in the rooms.
Yeah, and that's a great lane.
Yes.
Right. Right, I see another question from Ed. Have a first-time freshman next year. How much should we pester her? I'm not sure what to pester her about.
Maybe check, how often do you check in?
Oh, checking in.
I think
Yeah.
at our house we tend to reserve Sunday nights for checking in, seeing how the week went. Obviously, some of those conversations are pretty elaborate. Some of those conversations can be pretty quick. Sorry, I've got 4 things going on next week. I'm really nose to the grindstone. So maybe it's a 10 or 15-minute conversation, but I think you kind of you get into a routine a little bit, and then if something else needs to happen, we're 2 hours, from Central Connecticut, we're 2 hours to school. And I know certainly the last academic year has been really unpredictable at best. But in general, if we get back to normal going to school conditions, it's fun to be able to schedule a drop in and, go up and spend an afternoon, go out to lunch, do something else. And the kids appreciate that. And it just adds to the experience.
I worked as a freshman advisor at another university for a couple of years, and there's a rhythm. It's from the time that a student is sort of in a new environment, I think it's really important that they get set, and the window is from Labor Day to Columbus Day. That's like the time where they tuck in and get set. So I would say that before that time, you really want them to get as established and used to being there as possible. And then there's this, like, once Columbus Day happens, Thanksgiving is on the horizon. So
Yes.
if they're farther away, they know they might be coming home for Thanksgiving. But getting, my policy is, give them a little room until Columbus Day. Parents,
Right.
give them, let them tuck in and put roots down, and send them that confident message that wherever they go to school, they'll be okay. They've got to figure it out, and that's enough time to figure it out. So after
Yes.
that, now he's a sophomore, I probably get a text or a 2-second phone call a day about random things or what's going on. But I try not to check in. I wait for him to do that with me. But everybody, you got to know your kid.
Exactly. I was just going to say, definitely give them their space at first, as hard as it is for us, especially those first-time parents.
Yeah.
We raise them to do this. We raise them to fly and to expand. We want them to do this. So I really tried to back off too. It was super hard for me, but I did, and I was always the parent that was like checking on grades all the time and had to back off, totally stop doing that.
Yeah.
and then let them come to me, let them text me. And what I found is I was surprisingly happy that they checked in with me, even if it was just by text. Be like, "Morning, Mom. Have a great day." Like things that I was like, "Oh my God, is this my kid?" But they were like respectful and kind, and somewhat maybe missed me, but we're doing fine. So it was nice. I feel like they set their boundaries. Like I knew I was going to back off and let them make them. And now they're all a little different. And right now it's finals, right? So I know, they don't all call every day or whatever. But like you said, you got to know and definitely regroup once a week maybe, but let them set the tone.
Right. We have, my oldest is a senior at SUNY Brockport, and my youngest, again, is a sophomore at Siena. The oldest checks in all the time. Every day he'll check in when he's walking a large campus. He'll call when he's walking to class.
Cool.
My youngest at Siena, if we hear from him, we hear from him.
I need something.
But we know he's there.
Yeah.
We check in. He's on social media with his cousins, and
Yeah.
we'll see him every once in a while. But when he wants
Right.
something to call us, and every once in a while he'll check in. I'll know
I
I'll
love
hear
it.
from him tonight because the NFL draft is on tonight, and
Yep,
he'll be
that's
watching
right.
it, and he'll call me about the draft. But
Aw.
that's
But doesn't that feel good to like know that he's okay?
It's comfortable enough to not call mommy every day like they would.
Right,
Aw.
yes,
right.
But you
Yeah,
want them
yeah.
to ask if they do get into hot water. And I think that they need to learn to ask in their new community. You know, the CA, the building manager, I think they need to know that if they have something they think they can solve themselves, but maybe they need a little help, they have to go to that new family. They've got to go to their teammates at work. Because I always say, you know, how's work? And I mean school, but they've got to learn how to interact with them for something they need help with and ask each other or ask their CA or ask somebody there.
Yeah.
All right, that next question, the next question that came up is top 5 things to pack and how often do you visit? I think we kind of maybe covered some of that. Next question after that is a couple of things. Siena is known for being a very close-knit community, a family, for students. How, let's cut off a little bit. How do first-time parents become part of this community as well? It just happens, you know, from
It does.
weekend. You know, we really have kind of looked forward to the events that the school has hosted, and we tend to sit, and as you might imagine, we sit together as a family that first weekend. And then, you know, in the years where we've had parents' weekend, we tend to all be together because the kids have all been interested in being together for that. And it's just been a really nice experience that makes you closer as a family. So I would say it just happens. Obviously, you have to allow it to happen. You have to be willing to take part in the events that Siena offers. A really nice job. That's been our experience.
Well, you remember when you were like your kids were little and you maybe had been around school or the playground and you met like that really nice mom or dad or the family and you're like, oh, I hope our kids are friends because they're really nice. So you kind of get, you know, quite honestly, you kind of get that feeling. And I don't think that's accidental. I think that's bred over a very long time with a really positive, reinforcing environment. And I'm very grateful for that. I had zero expectations that would be found. And I think that's been what's been such a surprise to me about the Siena environment. It was like, is this for real? Is that like, really? And it's like, it's not just pretty pictures or literature, or the feeling that you get when you show up. It's 100%. And I'm speaking just for myself, but it's very genuine. And that you don't find that a lot. That sincere environment, you don't, it's like, wow, I'm very grateful.
Yep. You can't make that stuff up.
Nope. No, you can't.
Right. Yeah, I think very often Bill will say, like, nobody does it like Siena. No. And sometimes it's just the little things.
It is little things.
But nobody else does it like that. And it makes a difference. You know, you want them to feel comfortable where they are. And I think it kind of reflects too on the families that they come from. I know too, you know, as far as, you know, parents having a community, there is a Facebook account for Siena students. I don't know who runs it. I check in periodically, and I think that's a nice resource as well. People are constantly posting, you know, asking different questions, and it can be everything from, you know, when is move out day? You know, or I saw one recently before Easter, and, you know, I'm looking to put some cute things in an Easter basket. You know, I need ideas for gift cards. You know, what places are close to campus that would be good for a gift card. So that's not so much, you know, really building relationships, but it certainly is a nice resource, and people are very happy to share, you know, advice and guidance through that.
Yeah, it's good to ask.
Right. Right.
We have a question from Sunny. Is there any bank on campus?
So I don't know of any bank.
When
I haven't
there
really
are,
felt the need. Do they need, now everything
know.
is,
Yeah, who uses
everything is
tabs?
online
ATM or-
and get them the app on their phone and they can take care of it like that. I mean, that's what I did. And, you know, I can transfer money to them, whatever. I mean,
Yes.
it's pretty easy just with that app. Carter's never had the need to go to a bank.
Yeah.
I think it's really important if you have an if you're, the only thing I would just add, having worked as a freshman counselor, if your son or daughter has a college acceptance letter, they can apply for their own credit card to start to establish credit, which is not a bad thing with a really small limit, because it teaches them, again, financial management skills. And that's what I mean, we give them wings so they can fly, but there is a safety net. And so that kind of you know, I hate the word adulting, really. I shouldn't say hate, but it's, you know, it's overused, but it's really important that they start to do their own thing. And I think that ask them,
Right.
do you plan on doing online banking? How's that going to work? You know, and they have to get the message that they're going to be taking care of themselves. And that's one way to do that is that, and it's see what they say.
Right.
You know,
Right.
let me ask my roommate is always a good one. What's my roommate doing?
Yes.
What are they going to tell me?
Yeah, that's true.
I got a network.
We have the last question for the evening is, you know, what's your best advice before we choose a school? So for those people who, you know, I know that deadline is coming up soon.
Yeah.
And they're between Siena and, you know, maybe a few other schools. You know, we can each go through, but certainly what we have said over and over again, it's you know, that comfort that you feel in the school. And I can tell you that, you know, each of our 3 children who have gone through Siena and are there currently, they will independently tell you that Siena was not their first choice. Yet each of them will say they can't picture themselves at any other college. And we had, you know, went on the tours and visited many schools, but it's that feeling that they have at Siena, the friends that they have built, the Franciscan tradition that continues, and they take care of the students. You know, so I think with picking a school, it's more than academics or the ratings or, you know, whatever the hard numbers are. You know, they're getting a great education. They will be, you know, well prepared to become, you know, an independent, hardworking person in today's world. So it is certainly a hard decision, but.
So maybe the advice is to keep an open mind. You know, they've all studied very different things. They've got very different personalities. And like Teresa said, Siena wasn't necessarily their first choice. They had different ideas on directions that they might go in. And the more time they spent on Siena's campus, doing their own due diligence, if you will, investigating on their own, building a level of confidence, the more at home it felt to them.
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is that any person will thrive when they feel comfortable and when they're in an environment that they feel happy in, or like they can make connections, or that it can be as simple as, oh, it's, you know, the quad is great and they're going to run into people walking across to the library, or maybe they identify, I mean, the resources, I mean, we haven't said anything about the fabulous resources in academics. And that's, I almost think that like, that's a given. I mean, Siena's in a wonderful position to the parent, the student teacher ratio is really good.
Right.
You know, the housing is good. All of those things being equal, and we haven't said anything about that because obviously,
Right.
you know, that's been assessed and you have a good student and a dedicated student if they've been accepted to Siena. So all of that assumed, I think that then they thrive when they're in an environment where they're comfortable. And I think because Siena works so hard to make the student comfortable, that then it's an obvious thing they're going to succeed. And so that was what I didn't expect, because I did not have a performer in high school. I had someone that applied really early because, you know, Aiden didn't think he was going to get into a school. Does anybody want him? You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then when he got into an environment where he was happy, where he felt someone was listening to him to understand him, not just give him a random answer, but actually get to know him, he was able to thrive because there's great professors, because there's good resources, because there's, you know, he just texted me now, he's at the library, you know, we have to just take all of, like, we haven't talked about that, but hopefully you all know that that's like a given.
Right.
And then when they're in a good environment and they feel good and they feel like it's their new home, they're going to be successful. And that would be my advice, to make sure that they feel that they're going to be someplace where they can be happy in the community, because so many schools have great academics, you know, so many schools have great this, and they throw all these numbers at you and it sounds really good, but it's the little things. It's those small things that make it someplace you want to, it's like being part of a community or a town. It's what makes a house a home.
Right. Right.
Our son, again, like I said, we toured a dozen different schools that he got accepted to, and Siena gave him a chance to where they knew his name. You're not a number in the class. You are a name. And to solidify that, we have a friend whose daughter goes there. She's a junior, and they talk all the time. They talked before he went up, and the year before he got there, she got sick for about a week, and she missed her classes for a week, and two of her professors came to her dorm with her work to check on her, A, to see how she was feeling, and B, to let her catch up, to see if she needed anything. And they gave her time to catch up. They gave her assignments. And I don't know anywhere, and we've looked at schools all around the country that would do something like that.
Room door to make sure you're okay.
It's that home feeling that, that you'll, for the expectant parents, you'll know, you'll feel it. Okay, let your child pick it, but you'll know you'll feel the right place.
But don't you think you know, I perceived that even in the, not that it was informal, but in like the overly personal communication that came, even as like an accepted student, like there was a, I don't know, it's a one-on, maybe a one, like educating the whole person, but also knowing who that person is.
Right.
And that came through even in the correspondence. And I can say that like the Siena website has a ton of information. Like if you have any questions about specific programs, even as a parent now, I go on and you know, what's going on? What are your requirements for this? Wait a minute, what's this CAP report? Because they're trying to guide you towards the core. They're not dropping it on you and letting you go. It's all there. And I feel that's again trying to find the individual's potential, and that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, they go above and beyond, you know, our expectation kind of every time. And each time is, you know, very impressive.
Right.
You know, there's so much good there at Siena.
It does feel good.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining. Great conversation. And, you know, good luck to everyone who is making that decision, picking a school. You know, I can only say great things about Siena, but I realize it's a very difficult decision picking a school. So thank you.
Yep. Thanks for sharing the time this afternoon.
It was nice to meet you guys.
Nice
Hopefully
to meet
see
you
you
as
on
well.
campus among better days, and good luck to everybody.
Take care, folks, and good luck in college.
Right.
Yes.